it's Glenn from glenscarcollection.com, and today we're driving one of my all-time favorite cars, the Lotus Evora GT. Now, we did a video, a test drive on an Evora GT, but we didn't really get to drive it that much. So today we're going to drive a little more spiritedly on some better roads. Now, we have Cup 2s and it's 30 degrees and it's not my car, so we're not going to do anything crazy, but we're going to hopefully have an enjoyable driving experience here. Now, first thing I noticed, there are blind spots. So we'll take our time here. How are we looking?
You're good.
You good?
Yep.
Okay.
You're totally good.
All right. So, whoa. Oh, wow, the exhaust. This is the stock exhaust?
Yep.
Wow. Oh, my God.
Red light is 6,500. If you want sport mode, it'll go to 7,000.
All right, let's do sport mode. And sport mode gives us the louder exhaust?
Right. Well,
okay.
You don't have to touch anything.
You don't have to touch both. So here you would touch the exhaust
it
if
would
you...
quiet it, actually.
Right, if you weren't coming. And that's what I think the mistake I made driving either the 400 or the GT.
Okay.
Now, there is an optional titanium exhaust as well. We have the $10,000 optional carbon fiber pack, which really makes this car. This is called Yellow, not a crazy name like Porsche would do. While we're stuck behind this slow car, we'll go over some stats. So you have a V6 engine, 3.5 liter supercharged, producing 416 horsepower. I think 0 to 60 in these cars is about 3.8. Does that sound right?
3.8.
Okay, and that's what it feels like. You can definitely feel that on the butt dyno here. Biggest thing you'll notice between this and my 911 is this has hydraulic steering. And also you have these cool fender flares and intakes for that mid-engine engine. It's a 6-speed manual. They also come with an automatic transmission. This car had an MSRP of about $117,000. They're finally having some discounts now, and I think Lotus is even coming out with a lease, which they definitely need. McLaren sold a lot of 570Ss with leases. That's something Lotus desperately needed. Unfortunately, when you search for these cars in inventory, most of them are black, silver, very boring colors. I really like the Skittles colors the Lotuses come with, and it's very hard to find that. Most of them, I don't know whether they sell or they just don't make many of them, but the inventories are always very conservative, just like the Porsche inventories. Hopefully this guy doesn't go right. This feels way better already than the car I test drove. Now, I don't know if that, Evora was just sitting around or something, but it did feel like this. All right, so let's make a turn here. Wow, you can really, pretty easy to heel toe, and you really do get that that bark from the exhaust, which this is really, we were talking before I started filming this video, this is really the only exotic car, and if you drive this car and look at it, I think you'll agree with me that it's exotic. The only exotic car that you can still get a manual transmission, right? Because you can't get McLarens, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, you name the car. I wouldn't consider Porsche exotic. And now the pedals go way down on this compared to my 911. Like the gas pedal has got another foot to go. And so does the clutch pedal. So I'm actually sitting a little closer than I would normally just because of that fact. Now we're in Cup 2s and it's 30 degrees, so those two don't mix. So I'm gonna go a little more conservative in the corners, but you get the idea. So again, what I really notice here is a much sharper turn in than my 911, and the hydraulic steering, I can really feel everything in the road. Now it doesn't have the rear end grip that the 911 has coming out of the corners, nor the turbos either, but this car I believe is actually faster.
To my knowledge.
Yeah, it's a lighter weight car. It weighs lighter than the 911. It's got, these are off-camber turns here, so I'm gonna hug the yellow. And I'm gonna leave it in a higher gear than normal. I could easily take these in second, but I don't wanna overwhelm the tires. Yeah, I can feel we don't have, when I hit the brakes, we don't have the grip braking.
But the chatter is not bad.
Yeah, no, not at all. It's pretty composed. This is a really, really bumpy road, so you'll see this camera shaking, but it is really amazing. This is what, you should buy an Evora, and Todd and I both came from Elises and Exiges, so this is a Lexus to us. But you should buy an Evora if you get a chance to buy it like this. If you're commuting to work and stuff, I bet you the 911 is the better car. Like, I really wanted one of these bad, and I just couldn't find one in a good color at a good price. And I was even looking at everything, 400s, GTs, the whole bit. So the GTs give you real aero, in the front and the rear, as you saw in my other review. The Cup 2 tires. Wow, this sounds amazing. And that was only like 5,500 RPM. They don't have a ceramic brake option. You don't really need it with the AP racing brakes. We got 245 19-inch tires in the front. Wow, just listen. And 295 20s in the rear. Oh my God. So you've been listening to this the whole day?
Oh yeah.
So I don't have the sound. I don't have sound that can compete with this.
The sound is just intoxicating.
Yeah.
In this car.
And I have the Porsche Sport exhaust, and I still don't have sound that can compete with this. But the turn-in is razor sharp on these cars. You have brakes that won't fade, which has always been a Porsche staple. The car's real reliable since it has the Toyota engine. You just got to find a good dealer to service it. That's really the issue. I know some of you don't even have a Lotus dealer in your state, or if you do, it's certainly not local or conducive to bring it there. Wow. This really feels like a race car. Like, the 911 is a very capable car, but it really, you know, it's, unless you get a GT3, it doesn't feel anything like a race car.
You can daily it.
Yeah.
You can daily this in California, maybe. But
yeah.
not here.
This really feels like a like you're driving an exotic, just like you were driving a Ferrari, a Lamborghini. There are blind spots. The car is low to the ground. If you're handy, that helps, because you may have a lot of niggling things that go wrong, and that's kind of why I went from my Lotus back to a Porsche. But you know, if you can do some of the maintenance yourself and you're not relying on dealer prices. The problem is, let's accelerate first. Oh my God. Wow. And the problem is, if you're relying on the dealer, most of these Lotus mechanics, they're in Aston Martin dealers, they're in Bentley dealers, they're in exotic car dealers. So unfortunately, you're paying that hourly rate that you would for a supercar. And these Lotuses, if you can work on them yourself, you'll certainly save yourself a lot of money. You know, squeaks and rattles can't bother you. The Lotus, this one seems to be a real good one. The one I drove, the new one I drove off the showroom floor, the windows were fogging up, and you know, the heat and air conditioning was kind of sporadic. But this seems like this is way more put together. So it might be hit or miss on these cars as far as quality. So if you're going to buy them used, you know, make sure you're really careful and go look, inspect, and drive the car first. Now the rear view mirror is still useless. You can see a little bit. My Exige couldn't see anything. You see the supercharger, and with those louvers in the back, you can have a little bit of knowing what's kind of behind you. But it's a Lotus, so who cares what's behind you? The steering wheel feels good in my hand. I think it's the right thickness. I always thought that this kind of didn't look so nice, like even on my Exige and stuff like that. It's probably a level below, but they've done a good job here, fit and finish. You have the Alcantara, you have the stitching here. Some of the early Evoras, before they went to the 400, I know had a lot of that stitching. The leather would kind of, in the sun, would kind of crinkle up and spread out.
Yeah, this is put together much better.
Yeah, this is really, this is like a Lexus LFA compared to our Elises and Exiges.
And there's not a squeak or rattle anywhere.
Yeah.
They really have gotten it.
So I think if you come from an Exige or an Elise, you'll absolutely love this car, because this is such a big step up in performance and quality. If you're coming from other stuff, like more of a GT car, I think you know, it may be tougher. You may want to try this before you buy. You may not want to experience as visceral as this. I do, but not the average person probably won't. Wow. When I heel toe, I always zoom it all the way up, because I don't want to make a mistake in somebody else's car. You can't go too high. In Skip Barber Racing School, they teach you to zing it up to like 6. And that is our review of the Lotus Evora GT. So we got to take us some great roads. Definitely try this car out. The sales and the test drive. Lotus is smart. They got to let people test drive these cars, because if you test drive these cars and you want a reliable exotic with a warranty, I think you can't go wrong with the Evora GT. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.